Okay, bom dia. So it's been a while since I've uploaded a video. I'm taking months in between, like a bootleg version of James Cameron or whatever. Anyway, my sister did her DNA ancestry test and she got her results. She didn't want to upload a video, so I decided to upload for her. And look out for all my fellow DNA addicts out there. Now, this is interesting because I don't really know anything about my brother's and sister's father. And apparently, nobody stopped to take a picture of him. I literally asked my mother, how do you not have a picture of your first husband? The father of your first few children. I woke up a few minutes later and decided to just let it go. Now, I do know their father was pure Dominican and had to look something like this guy, my brother. He hasn't had any DNA testing done, but we'll probably have him take one this year. So I'll be sure to upload a video about that when I get it done. So be sure to subscribe and then, yeah, you'll be able to catch that. Now here's a picture of me and my sister back then so you can see some resemblance. And here she is now. Now my predictions for her were 65% African, 25% European, and 10% Taína. She would say she was something more like 45% African, 40% European, and 15% Taína. So let's take a look. Okay, so wow, yeah, her map looks more diversified than mine, which was, I was not expecting that. And I see that she's got DR highlighted, and that to me, I'm just like, well, so far she is as pure Dominican as anybody else. But damn. She also has native Brazilian and native Mexican in her as well. I'm actually a little jealous there. And with her, she has more of Africa highlighted than me, which is expected. But she also has some Middle Eastern and then a huge chunk of Russia and like Eastern Europe up there. Spasibo DNA ancestry. Now let's take a look at the actual DNA breakdown. So her largest percentage, #1 country is Spain, and she has always felt mostly Spaniard her entire life. That's kind of just how Dominicans are in the first place anyway. But that's pretty crazy. And even though that's pretty big, that's her largest country. I actually expected it to be much larger because I had something pretty comparable to that. And I'm only half Dominican, so at that point, I would expect her to be somewhere up in the 20s minimum, especially considering our great grandmother is directly from Spain. But of course, everyone's a mutt. I mean, that's just how it goes. And then after Spain, we have Portugal, 16%. Wow, that's pretty crazy. And honestly, seeing this such a high percentage for Portuguese, and seeing that she had the indigenous Americas, or like down there in Brazil, that area down there, that just screams to me that someone on her side of the family must have came from Brazil. Obviously there's several possibilities there, but that's what it screams out, and that's really crazy. That's really cool, especially considering that I'm learning Portuguese. It's really one of those coincidences that I kind of enjoy. After that, finally, we're hitting some African blood, Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples. I also had that. That's at 14% for her. Wow, so she's well tied to these regions. Benin and Togo, 13%. Wow, that's, it's like I knew my sister was gonna be mostly African, but to see three, Nigeria, 11%. So 3 different regions in Africa with over 10%, on her DNA results. That is super interesting. And, so far that makes her 32% European and then 38% African. So that's she's racking up some good percentages there. And then Senegal, we got 9%, Mali, 5%, and boom, okay, indigenous Haiti and Dominican Republic. This is her Taína, only 3%, which is interesting because I would have expected her to have somewhere around double the amount that I have. But I like that. I like that. That's good. So she got 3% Taína. And after that, oh, both of the indigenous ones. Indigenous Americas, Mexico, or as George Bush likes to say it, Mexico, 2%. And then indigenous Eastern South America, 2%. This is Brazil. So yeah, I mean, if I had to put my money on it, I know we got someone from Brazil on her side of the family. Then after that, we got Northern Africa, 2%. Tag along another 2% in Africa. So let's see, so far, 54% African, 32% European, and 7% indigenous to the Western Hemisphere. So that is really interesting. After Northern Africa, we get Eastern Europe and Russia, 2%. So that's that big area that we saw highlighted on her regions. And with this part, I mean, there's always this little argument. Do you consider Eastern Europe and Russia part of Asia, part of Eastern Europe? Well, the majority of Russians live in Western Russia along the eastern coast of Europe. I always, genetically, I mean, they could have more ties. I don't really know too much about this to Asia, but I know the Siberian region is mostly in Asia, but the majority of people in Russia live towards the west, closer to Europe. So I don't know. That's an argument for you guys to settle. After that, she's got 1% Scotland. Wow. Scottish. That's interesting. And then 1% Basque. And this is also interesting because I've seen, I learned actually from DNA Ancestry videos about the Basque region. It's kind of like in northern Spain, southern France. Pretty ancient influence right there. 1%, but to me, none of that matters. 1% is significant to me, in my opinion. There's a history there. There's a history. And then after that, European Jewish, 1%. Wow, I thought I'd be the only one in the family, but we got a Jewish family. No, and then, okay, all right. So after that, we got 1% Southern Bantu peoples. And then tagging along that last percentage to the African continent for a total of 55% African. And then less than 1% from Iran, Persia. All right, so yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, she was actually kind of more diverse than I was. Yeah, pretty much way more diverse than I was. 36% European, 55% African, 7% Native American, less than 1% Asian. However, you can make some arguments here because the European Jews have their roots in the Middle East, which is a part of Asia pretty much. So it's, I'm gonna probably just include it right here in the European percentages just because it says European right there. And then also the European in Russia, I'm gonna tag that on with the European. So she's less than 1% Asian. Yeah, that is interesting. That's an eye opener. You guys should definitely go get it. And here is how many centimorgans my sister and I share. 2,037 centimorgans. That's actually on the higher end for a half sister. That's 29% of our DNA that's being shared. That's really cool. That's really cool. And for those of you who don't know, a centimorgan is just the unit of measure for genetic linkage. This guy named Thomas Morgan, pretty much. That's what it was named. That's who it was named after. And yeah, so whenever you hear about fruit flies and genetics and all that stuff, that's all Thomas Morgan right there. Or it used to be, at least in the beginning. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be sure to upload more DNA Ancestry videos for the rest of my family, just for my DNA addicts out there. And yeah, please like this video. Let me know what you think. Até logo.